Our youth should be our main priority. Mary McLeod Bethune, an African-American civil rights leader and educator, quoted this point perfectly. She stated that we must have a powerful potential in our youth, and we must have the courage to change old ideas and practices so that we may direct their power towards good ends. An adult's influence has a huge impact to the character building of younger children, so the general public must become aware of devastating outcomes that can result from the intolerance of each other. Almost everyone can relate to the feelings of inadequacy from one time to another. But try to imagine waking up in the morning to go to work, to do your job, and you are overcome with dreadful thoughts of what your day might entail. You know that when you get there, your colleagues will harass, torment, or even physically abuse you. Now imagine a child in the same situation. But unlike you, an adult, they do not have the complete knowledge to find ways out of the terrible situation that has become their everyday life. Do we want our children to continue to suffer? Now I want to share with you a story that puts a face on those numbers. Are you convinced yet? If not, I want to reveal to you some startling statistics. Here is a graph of the suicide rates among children. And then here's another graph of the increase of bullying amongst children. The CDC states that suicide is the third leading cause of death for young people, ages 12 to 16. In a typical 12-month period, almost 14% of American high school students seriously consider suicide. Nearly 11% make plans about how they will end their lives, and 6.3% actually commit suicide. Intolerance is greatly associated with increases in suicide risk in children that are victims of bullying. Another thing you may not know is that both the victim and the perpetrator are more likely to suffer from depression and take their own lives than children who are not involved with bullying. You can see the cycle here. It starts with intolerance, which leads to bullying, depression, and then the last straw, suicide. Elizabeth Babaloni made several attempts at a New York City school district to end the bullying against her son, but the constant teasing of the boy continued. He could put up with the comments about his small stature or high IQ, but became extremely depressed when they started to tease him about his deceased father. Joe Morales was just 12 years old when he didn't return home from school, and since he was missing, his mother, Elizabeth, organized a search party for him. At 11:30 p.m., Joel's mother found him hanging from their apartment building rafter. No mother should lose their child, especially when these acts of intolerance can be avoided. There are many steps that we can take to try to prevent losses like Joel from occurring. So, as adults, what changes can we make ourselves, and what kind of actions can we take? The greatest and most contributing factor is becoming a good example to our youth. Since bullying takes place early in childhood, it is imperative that we intervene while the actual acts of bullying are taking place. We then need to explain the damage that has transpired and have the children make amends with one another. We must also make it a priority to never allow name-calling, whether it's serious or not, to take place in our presence. As adults, we also need to take into consideration how we care for ourselves and how we allow others to act toward us. As role models, our actions and reactions can influence how the youth relate to one another. We must show others compassion, sympathy, and forgiveness when we are wronged. This is extremely important because this allows children to see that anger or being right should not be accepted solutions to our everyday problems. Furthermore, we can become aware of social interactions among children that are in groups. One can attempt to rearrange groupings to separate children who tend to have problems with each other. Also, we should be willing to talk to other adults that are in charge to find remedies. If bullying is a reoccurring issue, keep in mind that these procedures could potentially save a child's life and a mother's despair. In conclusion, let's face the problem of our youth and not become blind to the young souls who are suffering. We are the only ones who can become their voice and break the cycle of bullying. Thank you.